once again we caution you, these stories are definitely not for the timid soul. So we tell you calmly and very sincerely, if you frighten easily, turn off your radio now.
Give me your money.
What?
You heard me. Give me your fucking money. Hey, man, don't shoot.
You're mugging us?
I don't believe this.
You better believe it or you're dead. Give us your money.
Oh, no.
All right, here, take this. It's full of money.
No. That's mine. Don't fuck with me, man. We want your cash, not your luggage.
All right, you can take your cash, but we need the wallets.
We want it all. Hurry.
Oh, come on. Let us keep the driver's licenses and the snapshots.
And our badges.
Shit, cops.
Right, what do you think? We all wear uniforms. We all drive around in cars that say police on them.
Look, see, I'm with you.
You're under arrest.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney.
Give me your guns.
No, you can have the cash, but we got to keep the guns.
Shit.
No, I don't want to be responsible for guns falling
breakfast.
into the hands of
You have
riffraff
the right
such
to
as
the
yourself.
beverage of your choice in the precinct coffee shop. Now, fellas, this is just me talking, but I would rather get shot with one of those pissant 22s than with my 38.
Ooh. Now, you're already under arrest. Don't make it any worse for yourself.
Again, I'm going to shoot your ass.
Pointing a gun at a police officer? Can we waste them for that?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, this kind of thing starts in a home.
It's the educational system.
No, the new math drives them nuts.
Right to the streets.
Ready?
Hi, this is the Bonus Material Podcast. I'm Thom Carnell.
And I'm Langley West.
And we have with us a guest or a returning friend, Sean Smithson.
Hello.
Yay.
So good to be back among my buddies.
Yes, we're here for the buddy episode, so it's only fitting that we have a buddy of ours returning for episode 19 of the Bonus Material Podcast. And again, we're going to be talking today about buddy films.
We're short a buddy today.
We are short a buddy. One of my best buddies in the world, Miss Heather Buckely, is at South by Southwest Film Festival. She was the effects shop supervisor on a movie by another buddy of ours, Ted Gay Hogan. His directorial feature debut, We Are Still Here, is now playing at South by Southwest as we record this. Heather just sent me a picture from the audience, and man, dude, how proud are we all of that girl?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so cool.
Heather's killing it.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. Before we get into the movies, Tom, not to get sappy, but I want to talk about you guys as my buddies because I think that's in keeping with the episode. Heather's not here to tell the story, but as far as Heather, we became buddies when she was at Dread Central. Well, she's still at Dread Central, my bad. And how do I put this lightly? She wrote an article about a film that will go unnamed that was coming under fire for maybe having stolen some design work from another artist. And this shitstorm ensued, and I jumped in to defend her. And through that, we became very, very good friends. And our first article at Fangoria, both of us, was co-written. That's how I met her. Tom, I met you through the same kind of arena. When Chris Alexander came out to Crypticon, you were there. I had never met you before. And that was the beginning of, seriously, dude, one of the most beautiful relationships I've ever had, personally and creatively, with anyone. So that's how I met you. And Langley, I met you through Tom via this show. And now that's another great relationship in my life. So thank you all.
Basically, in class one night, I held Tom and put a knife to his throat and said, "Hey, let me in on some of this shit."
Class being your martial arts thing, right?
It's been great. I'm really, really pleased and overwhelmed by the warm embrace that I've received sonically through these podcasts. So it's great.
Absolutely, and this will all culminate, I'm sure, sooner than later in a face-to-face sit-down with us all. And 2 or 3 or maybe more bottles of good alcohol.
Right. Well, I'm very uncomfortable by all of this, and I hate all of you. And
Tom's got a problem with intimacy.
So, but buddies, we're talking about buddy flicks, and I wanted to sort of put a caveat in there that I think a whole separate discussion is the cop buddy flick. Are we in agreement on that?
Well, only because they're so ubiquitous. I mean, there's so many cop buddy flicks. I don't think
enough for its own
episode or its own. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like when we were talking about puppet stop motions. That's its own thing.
Right.
Puppets are this thing. I'm with you.
And you're in agreement?
Sure. Great, I don't get to talk about Freebie and the Bean or Super Cops yet.
I kept doing that in my research for it. I kept in writing up notes. I kept running into things where I was like, but is it? And then you run into there's more than 2 people involved, so now is it a group thing? Like, for example, 1972 Fuzz. It's a cop film. It's a group cast. So immediately I'm like, wanted to throw it out, but it's awesome. So I slip it in.
It's not like we're like running towards a finish line. We have 52 weeks a year.
Right.
At some point we're going to be like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, let's talk about buddy cop films. Yes, we put that.
So this is Buddy Flicks Volume 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think we should start with the classics, man. I mean, because I was thinking about the concept of buddy films, and just by its nature, and by the nature of storytelling, it's usually, a good story is about relationships, right? Well, it takes 2 to have a relationship. And as I was mulling that over and making my hit list, we have all the classic, like mega classic buddy pairings. We have Redford and Newman.
Right.
Matthau and Lemmon.
Sure.
Wilder and Pryor.
I think look at films where it's like, it doesn't need necessarily be when we use buddy flick. It doesn't have to be that they're friends. They may be friends. Look at Grumpier Old Men. Speaking of Matthau and Lemmon, you've got basically an antagonistic relationship, but beneath it you've got this deep, abiding friendship.
Right. Well, as they say, hate is just the other side of the coin of love, right?
Right.
So often, I think a good buddy flick, that whole theme of friendship and the relationship that we have between these 2 characters is an underlying theme. It isn't necessarily what the movie is about. On the surface, it may be. I'm going back to buddy cops now, but say it's a heist film. But it's really what it's about is these 2 guys or these 2 characters. It doesn't have to be guys.
The problem inherently, if you have the buddies be a man and a woman, is that now you've got sexual tension. Now it gets kind of weird. But you can easily have it be with a person and an animal.
Yeah. Or an adult and a child. On my list, I have a bunch of films, and I will get into, to bring up your caveat again, maybe those are mentoring flicks.
Yeah.
But when we get to those titles, you guys can make that call. But let me ask you first off, since we've mentioned some of the classic pairings, what makes them classic pairings?
Chemistry.
Chemistry. For me, it's also repetition. The ones we've already mentioned, they've made many films together.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at the couple that you didn't mention that I had written down, Cosby and Poitier.
Oh, we're going to talk about Bill Cosby, huh?
We're not going to talk about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, Wilder and Pryor, Martin and Lewis. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Scared Stiff, one of the greatest horror comedies ever, in my opinion.
Scared Straight's a pretty good horror comedy too. For anybody who's seen that old classic documentary.
I'm not going to bring up any of these movies, but I'm just going to mention their name for the sake of inclusion. Conway and Knotts.
Yes.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. The Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yeah.
Fuck
The Private
the world.
Eyes.
Yeah.
The Private Eyes and the Wookle are so good.
And keying off Knots, of course, we have Knots and Andy. You know, No Time for Sergeants leading into the Andy Griffith Show.
Sure.
Right.
Or if you want to go back in that whole era, look at the whole relationship in the Francis the Talking Mule movies.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, that was they were bound at the hip. That I mean, somehow he got that fucking horse into the army. So a buddy can be anything.
Yeah. Somebody that's it can be a friend, it can be an enemy, it can be just a compatriot.
We even have animal-to-animal buddy flicks like Milo and Otis,
right,
and The Incredible Journey, which is 3. Are we going to include that? I think 3 is still a safe number.
They especially that they were like a sort of a progressive sort of relationship. Okay. They were like poly before.
We just added a title to the list since we're including 3.
Hey man, I'm down for interspecies breeding. You know, Dr. Moreau. Let's go. Let me ask you guys, out of the classics, who are your favorites, or can you name one? And maybe why?
I gotta say, Newman and Redford. God. You know, it's funny too. We're talking that's different if we really think about it. Like Newman and Redford. Well, that's actors.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily the characters that they're playing on the screen, but by continually pairing up.
Right. My favorite. I don't know.
I think you're a Martin and Lewis guy.
I'm kind of a big Martin and Lewis guy. I'm a big Hope and Crosby fan too. Although I'll be honest with you, most of the road movies really are shit.
Now, is that? let me ask something. Is that really the same? Because because then we're talking Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello. Is that the same as buddy flicks, or are these just a comedy team who keeps making movies?
Well, I think inherently they're buddies as they go through their comedy bits. One of the things I was going to mention about Martin and Lewis also was Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn Gorilla with Sammy Petrillo and Duke Mitchell, who are like a Martin and Lewis knockoff. Believe it or not, they literally knock off the entire Martin and Lewis thing. And an aging Bela Lugosi is in there, sort of stalking around a guy in a gorilla suit. So there's that.
How sad.
Gorilla suit movies is another episode.
I know, right? It's our goal to literally do episodes on everything.
Yeah,
just everything.
Yeah. as evidenced by our texting back and forth over the last couple of days.
Yeah, right?
Oh Jesus!
So
I think I'd have to say my favorite, since you already mentioned Redford and Newman Langley. Right up there for me is probably Matthau and Lemmon. I think two of the greatest actors in the fucking world, and I think the breadth of their buddy flicks, while there was a common thread, they avoided repetition somehow. They kind of reinvented themselves throughout their buddy flicks. You know, of course, beginning with The Odd Couple, and all the way through Grumpy Old Men, and how do I say it? Matthau in particular, because the guy's got a lot more range than people
agreed
go to. I don't want to say give him credit for, but then they initially think, because you do go to The Odd Couple. But I mean, Matthau, again, to avoid the cop thing for the most part, he even did like a trio of badass movies. Pelham 1, 2, 3, Charlie Varick, which was Don Siegel's follow-up to Dirty Harry. Yeah. Also, Charlie Varick is very, very proto No Country for Old Men. I'm concerned. I'm convinced Cormac McCarthy has seen that movie many times. And then The Laughing Policeman. So Matthau's got a lot of range, and him and Lemmon. Oh God, yeah, Save the Tiger. Mm-hmm. Glengarry Glen Ross. Yep. So while their buddy films were funny for the most part, they both had so much range that they brought a levity and a brevity and in a good way, a darkness kind of underlying all of that stuff. And their buddy films, The Odd Couple in particular, showed an amazing arc of character within each film. They really help each other grow, and I think that is an underpinning for me of what makes a great buddy film.
Has anyone seen the TV thing, supposedly, with
the
Matthew
new...
Perry and Tom Lennon?
I saw, like, I want to say I saw, like, 5 minutes of it.
And that was enough.
And there's the review.
Much TV. And, it was fine. I mean, it was just... It was typical of
TV sitcoms.
Modern sitcoms, yeah. So it's if that tickles your particular funny bone, it's great,
The only thing Matthew Perry's ever done that I liked was that Aaron Sorkin show that was kind of based around the backstage antics of Saturday Night Live. Otherwise,
I gotta
Trapdoor.
I dug the romantic comedy he did with Salma Hayek, Fools Rush In.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not seen that. I'll put that on the list.
It's fun. I mean,
it's not terrible.
Don't expect it to be,
And by the way, I want credit right now because we're talking about Matthew Perry. This where is normally I would insert my Matt LeBlanc is a lost action hero argument.
Sure.
So I'm not going to do that.
Good.
I'll do it for you. You're, of course, talking about Lost in Space.
Yeah. But anyway, that's something else.
Shit. Matt LeBlanc did a buddy movie, that baseball film with the chimpanzee.
The chimp. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Boom.
So while Matthew Perry barely gets in under the wire, Matt LeBlanc with 3 extra points.
Is a pimp.
He was also in a Red Shoe Diaries movie. Does that count? No, that's the whole sexual tension thing.
Yeah,
disqualifies that.
Yeah.
Right?
Although there was a lot of sexual tension between him and the chimp. That was all over the trades.
I know someone who worked on that film, and he said that they were actually seeing each other behind the scenes. Yeah. The chimp was the top.
Yeah, broke his heart.
Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna start us off with perhaps the greatest buddy film of all time. A movie that brings together both badassery and great acting. A movie that brings together different races. Of course, I'm talking about Firewalker. Chuck Norris and Lou Gossett Jr.
I've not seen that.
How did I know somehow we're going to interact with Chuck Norris? That's hilarious.
Now, the reason why...
because
it's a goofy movie, but the reason why I bring it up is because Chuck Norris is the type of guy that, you don't think of as having a buddy in his movies. He's the action guy. He's the standalone guy. And in this case, that stage was shared equally with... Why this happened, I don't know. And it was after his movies started...
trailing?
Yeah, declining a little bit. But I just wanted to mention Firewalker. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of like a really cheap version of Indiana Jones meets... insert any Chuck Norris movie here.
I'm okay with that because I love Indiana Jones knockoff films.
Yeah, okay. You should definitely check out Firewalker then. That's fun.
To key off that, there's another Chuck Norris buddy movie, and admittedly I haven't seen it. Maybe you guys can clue me in if it qualifies. And that's Chuck and Lee Marvin in Delta Force.
Oh.
Which I was reading is one of the better Chuck Norris films, actually.
Sure.
It is. The Lee Marvin...
But that's like being the prettiest Denny's waitress.
Yeah, the Lee Marvin role is I don't know if I'd call it a buddy film. Probably more of a buddy film would be An Eye for an Eye, where with Mako.
Right. Oh, God.
And yes, Mako is kind of the old Asian stereotypical dude, but he's no longer Chuck Norris's mentor. He's running around sharing in the shenanigans equally. So,
why didn't Mako and James Hong ever do a buddy film? They were really tight in real life. But you know what? I want to go back to Lou Gossett now. teeing off your original mention, one of my favorite buddy films is an old flick with him and James Garner called The Skin Game.
Skin Game is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where, for anybody who hasn't
movie.
seen it, yeah, James Garner is, of course, a white dude, and Louis Gossett is a black dude. And it's the days of slavery, and they're really best friends. And James Garner is selling Lou Gossett off, and then he'll escape, and then that's their scam. Then they pocket the money and move on. It's also the movie that Quentin Tarantino fucking ripped off for Django Unchained. So,
could you imagine somebody trying to make The Skin Game today? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think there's like this thing now where when you talk about slavery, the Holocaust, any of these things, obviously these are horrible things. But like look at what's his name?
what was he in?
Life is Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Roberto Benigni.
Okay, Roberto Benigni.
And his obnoxious acceptance speech where he climbed all over chairs at the Oscars over a movie about the fucking Holocaust.
But
what a dick.
That movie about the Holocaust was able to inject humor into some place where you normally can't. And
where you normally shouldn't.
I don't know, man. It's a great movie.
Tell that to Jerry Lewis.
Oh.
You know, Lewis has this lost film called The Day the Clown Cried. That
right.
Is, I'd love to see where he plays a clown that in like prison camps that lead children to the showers, and it's.
You know, Patton Oswalt used to do him and a group of comedians used to do live readings of that screenplay.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Lewis tried to shut it down. Actually.
Yeah. Supposedly he has all the footage. So, but yeah, Jerry Lewis, what a dick.
That's an interesting point, Langley, though, about the causticness and the quote unquote un-PC-ness of broaching those kinds of subjects. And to give credit where it's begrudgingly due, I do have to say that Django Unchained did kind of bring a little bit of that back. They didn't shy away from the subject of slavery, nor did they completely pander to it or dress it up in a way that was apologist. It was pretty fucking unflinching. And it's also one of the only movies I can stand Leonardo DiCaprio in as an adult. So,
yeah, I'm trying to think about other favorite buddy. I mean, you know, one that I'm looking at my notes. It's Fear and Loathing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the very definition of both a road picture and a buddy picture. And it's awesome.
Nothing will bring two people together more than a bunch of amyl nitrate and LSD and a cop convention.
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
get
cops.
Postcards from people and that shit.
Is that a cop buddy film?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, we kind of started off with the classics, but it goes back even further. As I was doing my reading over the last couple of days, I mean, shit, Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
And Dr. Watson, Robinson Crusoe, and Friday.
Absolutely.
Don Quixote and Sancho Panza.
Yes.
Is huge. I mean, one of the first movies I remember seeing is Man from La Mancha with James Coco and Lawrence of Arabia. Jesus, Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oddly enough, the first porn I saw was Man of La Mancha.
Porno is also another upcoming episode.
I know. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun. The first episode you can listen to with one hand from the Boners Material Podcast.
But what about, like, coming up later, you know, like Men in Black?
Well, for sure.
Sure. Men in Black, yeah, it's totally a buddy. All three of them are buddy flicks. And while we're there, what a great job Brolin did.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, the film was dog shit, but...
Hallelujah. Actually, I liked it. It's probably my favorite of the three, to be honest. Yeah.
I really enjoyed checking out all the 50/60s retro future, aesthetic. I've always been intrigued with that, how our view of the future changes from time period to time period.
Right.
At one point, the future is the Jetsons, and then another point, the future is, I don't know, Logan's Run.
Everything by post-'80s, or post-'70s in the '80s, it starts to become real
dystopian and dark.
And that's another episode.
I think one of the greatest assets of, in particular, male buddy films is, especially in Western culture, we're kind of taught to keep a distance. Men don't, in a friendly way, kiss each other on the cheek. There's like the bro pat, and the side hug and all that kind of stuff. But I think
the no homo thing.
Right. It's the no homo thing.
Hugging you, but I'm hitting you.
No homo, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to touch your butt. But I think it's a really healthy thing for our culture because it allows, like I said, in the male to male arena, that kind of love and affection to be shown across the board to quote unquote regular, middle American men without it becoming uncomfortable. And I think that's an incredibly healthy thing.
Yeah. I love you, man.
Yeah.
I love you.
There's
guys
another
too.
buddy flick. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Who's in that?
That was the guy from How I Met Your Mother and
right.
Paul Rudd.
Right.
You know what? Apropos of nothing, I just saw Paul Rudd on the Night of Too Many Stars. Some guy, I don't even know how this went down, but he did a baby bird where he ate food and spit it into Paul Rudd's mouth. What? Yeah, I swear to God, I saw it on TV, and my wife and I were like, "What the fuck is this? This is Ant-Man getting pre-masticated food."
Puke is temporary. Film is forever. To digress very quickly, what's interesting about Paul Rudd playing Ant-Man is he originally turned down Superman because he did not want to get stuck in
now he's got
in macho guy roles. Yeah,
kids need braces.
Well, and he probably figures they'll never make Ant-Man 2. So
I know. This is the one property that I can get in and get out of.
Well, from what I've seen so far in the trailers, it seems to be as tonally as different as Guardians of the Galaxy is to the rest of the Marvel Universe. I think they're doing a good job of breaking open that box. But
sure.
I don't know.
So there's a certain type of buddy film that is it's strictly comedy, and it's I don't even know what to call it other than I know it when you see it, and that is your Bill and Ted.
Like the stoner comedy.
Wayne's World.
Yeah.
And
fucking Cheech and Chong, actually.
Cheech and Chong.
Yeah. House Party.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about Cheech and Chong for a second, because...
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Can be brilliant. It got a little desperate towards the end.
Right.
And remarkable how much mileage they got out of one dumb joke.
Yeah.
Well, again, going back to, oh shit, I lost my train of thought. It doesn't have, like you said, Tom. It's kind of a one-note joke, as where the comedic turns of Matthau and Lemmon, there was no arc for Cheech and Chong to go to.
Yeah,
there was no.
And when they tried, like when they did the Korskin Brothers and all that other stuff, it just fell flat. It's like, you're not actors. I'm sorry, you're stand-ups and you're not actors. Somehow
that makes me think that Cheech Marin was ready to move on into acting.
Yeah,
as like
right
when
now. He's currently on tour with Chong, doing the same. Hey Bob.
I don't think it necessarily dried up for him. I think they patched up their relationship, and Tommy Chong needed the funds for his legal defense.
Maybe, yeah.
Because
they're still touring.
Yeah. It's raking money hand over fist.
We had the opportunity through a fluke to see them here in town, and they were terrible. I said to my wife, this is like watching two drunk uncles at your friend's wedding do Cheech and Chong bits, and it's awful.
Oh shit! I saw footage on YouTube of Cheech doing Earache My Eye, and the Jumbotrons are going, and he's running around in the tutu, and
he's going to break a hip.
Well, they shouldn't have used Jumbotrons because he didn't even know the words. He was just kind of mowing his way through the lyrics, you know, as far as the syllabically, but he wasn't even like saying the words, and that's when I was really glad I did not pony up the $200 to get on that nostalgia boat. You know, fuck that. So fuck Cheech and Chong? Is that where we are?
No. They're great. They were transgressive at the time. They were important.
Yeah.
Without them, you wouldn't get Dude, Where's My Car?
Right. Well, Cheech, I mean, like Up in Smoke is arguably great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's great. Cheech and Chong's next movie, in my opinion, is also great.
Yeah. To me, it's a duology. It starts falling down around Nice Dreams.
Right. Yeah, and it starts to
Right, when they get desperate, you start culling people from the comedy store in L.A.
Right.
We heard.
Well, the first two movies have great character actors. Tom fucking Skerritt as the fucking shell-shocked. Yeah, that's amazing. And then
Stacy
Keach, that's right. Who's the thread?
Yeah, he was the top. Yeah. and one of the greatest pieces of music ever, and that's the theme from the Big Green Van, which look it up on YouTube. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome too.
Yeah.
We were talking beforehand about one, and that was I want to go backwards because I'm old and bring up the Defiant Ones with Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis, which awesome. Two prisoners that are bound together that escape, and one's white and one's black in the Deep South.
It's Black Mama, White Mama with dudes before Black Mama, White Mama.
Yeah, I think but I think it was the reverse of that. I think
the other way around. Yeah, absolutely. The Defiant Ones is, in my opinion, I mean, when they put together a reel of like great Hollywood films, the Defiant Ones is one of the clips that needs to be in there.
And also, it's another example of buddy films being able to illustrate a difficult point. And in that, it's the racial tension thing. I mean, much like, especially Western culture, males having a hard time relating to each other in a lovey-dovey way. This also really, really broached, along with the aforementioned Skin Game, the racial tension thing. And again, incredibly healthy for the culture.
Yeah.
Mirrors.
I remember when it came out, though, it didn't feel healthy. It felt, everyone was really pretty bent up about it.
Well,
really?
It's what, 1960...
65?
Yeah, so...
I want to say, let me go find it.
Things were...
Well, it was released in 1958.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, think about that.
Yeah.
I think any movie where you had... And the thing that I remember now as I'm thinking about it was the important thing wasn't that it was at the end they had this equality achieved, and at the time a white man treating the black man with equality was
right.
It was enough to make a few people cock an eyebrow. So,
in that regard, would you call In the Heat of the Night a buddy film?
Kind of. I think because they end up at this agreement that like, look, there may be fundamental differences, but I respect you. That mutual respect bears out a certain friendship, I think. And the crowd goes quiet.
So I'm going to bring up one. I apologize because I feel like we're jumping. Like, rather than kind of following a timeline, we're kind of jumping all over the place. But, this is an organic process. And,
right.
Yeah. So, I want to talk about Enemy Mine.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's Robinson Crusoe on
Mars.
In space. But again, it's also the Defiant Ones because we've got these two, essentially, again, different
Enemies.
races.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We have the
lizard
Quaid, as the human, and then we have Lou Gossett Jr. again. Again, we've got
Lou Gossett. He's the king of the buddy films.
He's the king of
I
the buddy
was
films.
going to say there's a thread starting to become very clear here with him.
As Drax, right? Drax. Was that what his name
I think that's
was?
what his name was.
Yeah. And I mean, and talking about, males, expressing love. I mean, Dennis Quaid becomes Lou Gossett's surrogate
Parent
for his offspring. Yeah, it's like it's one of those movies that like you know how like in the 80s you had like all these classic sci-fi movies that we all kind of pay homage to, or not homage to, but we all kind of bow down to. Alien, The Thing, that type of stuff. I think Enemy Mine, for my money, is right up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. People who earmark something like Total Recall, the Schwarzenegger Verhoeven version, all the time, I point them at Enemy Mine. I'm like, you're kind of leaving out. It's definitely an unsung classic. And another, to get back into the cultural aspect of buddy films, one thing that really impressed me about Enemy Mine, even when I first saw it in theaters as a kid, was when they broached, I don't know the word for it, but when an animal can be both sexes. Because Drax, the whole movie, you're looking at Drax as a male, and then he, quote unquote, gives birth to an offspring, and it throws in this really weird intrinsic to the movie that in a really beautiful way makes you rethink everything that came before it in that film.
Talking about Enemy Mine brings to mind Alien Nation.
Right.
Which is essentially, I don't know, they're not the same film, but they cover a lot of the same ground.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that was actually a movie first.
Uh-huh.
And not just
Manny
a terrible
Patinkin,
TV show.
Who's a badass.
Yeah. And James Caan?
James Caan.
Yeah. Another badass.
Yeah.
I could do a whole episode on To Killer Elite.
It's funny. In me looking over stuff and sort of coming up with things, I found a lot more comedies than I did any other genre.
Sure.
Which I guess is inherent in the word buddy, right?
Right.
It's either cops or comedies, and again, that goes back to the discomfort of men showing each other true affection in a heterosexual way. That's a very safe zone.
Look at even, and this is a group film, but look at how the interaction in the Expendables series. It's a lot of like obvious love for one another, but they mask it in that, oh, you're gay, kind of humor, and it's weird. I wonder why that is.
Do I need to watch those? I've not seen one of them.
It's just shit blowing up. And if you're a fan of the '80s stuff,
right?
Yeah, you go, oh yeah, look that guy.
I don't know, man. I watched the first one with that in mind, right? And I was really disappointed. Like the explosions weren't near as big. The budget wasn't as big.
I just remember like the second one. There's this scene of Arnold Schwarzenegger walking forward, firing a shotgun, and it literally looks like someone telling kids to get off his lawn. Go ahead.
I do want to see the third one, though. It's directed by a guy I had the pleasure of hanging out with in Austin, Texas at Fantastic Fest. This guy, Patrick, he had done a movie called Red Hill with Ryan Quanten, a really good Australian fish out of water cop movie with Ryan Quanten. So I'm probably going to go ahead and catch up on the Expendables. That way I know the very important backstory leading up to the third installment.
What you do is you take a Sunday afternoon and a bottle of scotch, and you get one of those rubber hammers that they use to pound out like dents in your car, and just start drinking. And when it starts, like you start going like, hey, wait a minute, why does that happen? Use the hammer, man, and it'll all go away.
Right into your fucking cranium.
I think it's probably because so much of this comes out as comedy movies. I keep kind of running away from those, even though I mentioned Cheech and Chong.
Uh-huh.
But I was looking at your list, and there's a movie there that I love and I hadn't thought of when we were doing this episode, and it's so good, and that's The Last Detail.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a great. I mean, if you want to see Nicholson before he's Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Oh my God, dude, that fucking movie.
And so well written. The whole script is so good on that.
For anybody listening who doesn't know about The Last Detail, what's it about, Sean?
There's an officer, a couple of military police. It's Nicholson, and who else is it, Langley? Who's the sidekick?
Keep talking.
I don't remember who the sidekick is.
It's a black dude, right?
The guy that they're picking up is...
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid, really young.
Yeah, and still sane.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, they have to take this guy in, basically, to serve a prison sentence. And getting to know him... Otis Young, right. God, where is he?
I don't know.
Man, he was great in that fucking movie.
He belongs in our character actor episode.
Note that. You're literally note that, Langley,
right.
So we don't forget that. But yeah, so they have to take Quaid in, and once they find out, yeah, you're acting like you're noting it. You're not noting it. Yeah, as he takes another drink. Well, fucking Otis who? But why's it got to be Otis anyway? But so yeah, they're taking Quaid in because I forget what he's done, but it's this sad kind of comedy of errors event that led him having to be imprisoned. So instead of being hard asses, they come to really like this guy over the 3-day trip and show him the best time of his life on the way to prison.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, I'd say, Langley, that and 5 Easy Pieces are probably my favorite Nicholson films. Yeah. You know, barring Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining, just they're out of contention. But when I think of early 70s Nicholson, that is like, bang, it's right there, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Shit, I'd even almost call 5 Easy Pieces a bit of a buddy movie because there's another character actor in that who's this buddy on the oil fields.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Who figures it heavily into the first half of the film until him and Karen Black leave town. Getting into the cultural aspect of it again, and, you know, we've talked about the reticence of the American male to show each other affection. What I find interesting is the antithesis of that is the female buddy film. I mean, of course you have Thelma and Louise, but you have movies like The Turning Point with Anne Bancroft and Shirley MacLaine, where while they're at odds with each other, they love each other very much, and there's a huge respect and kind of a mending of a relationship. Julia.
I was going to just say Julia.
Yeah.
Which, to be on full disclosure, I've not seen. I think I saw it when I was very, very little when it first came out. But can you jog my memory about Julia, Tom?
We're going to do that.
Is it Redgrave? Is it Jane Fonda?
I remember that. Yeah, I want to say it was Fonda and Redgrave, and I want to say Redgrave won the Oscar, right?
She did. I'm pretty sure she did. I'm reading a brilliant book on the Oscars right now, by the way.
What's it called?
Oh God, I have it. Let me go grab it. Here.
So the synopsis that I'm reading up online is: at the behest of an old and dear friend, playwright Lillian Hellman undertakes a dangerous mission to smuggle funds into Nazi Germany. Can
you imagine the political discussions between Redgrave and Fonda during that film?
I know, right?
I would really be curious as to know what Redgrave thought of Fonda, because I find her kind of armchair. I mean, I do subscribe to the Saigon Jane thing a bit, and I remember seeing her speak in Chico, California. My mom worked for Legal Aid, and she was married to Tom Hayden, and she was super...
Your mom was married to Tom Hayden?
No. Jane Fonda was married to Tom Hayden. My mom didn't really like Tom Hayden much, but that's a whole other story. He was trying to introduce a coal-burning plant to Chico, and Jane Fonda, with all her posturing about being really independent, she's always seemed to follow the song and dance of whoever she's married to. I mean, when she was married to Ted Turner, what was she doing? She was hawking Buffalo pizza. You know, it's like... Yeah, she bugs me. But I have a lot of respect for Vanessa Redgrave's political tenacity. I'll put it that way. I don't always agree with it, but she was incredibly informed, or is incredibly informed. I think she may still be alive, and it would be really, really interesting to have been a fly on the wall during that shoot and hear some of those discussions that they did. By the way, the Academy Awards book is called The Complete Unofficial History of the Academy Awards, and it goes from like the very, very beginning to about 2003.
Cool.
And it's funny, as I'm reading it, you can see the arc of how unimportant it was in the beginning, how important it really became, and how great the work was that they were honoring, right into it's sucking again.
I'm only going to mention this very, very briefly because we're talking about buddy flicks, but you should definitely check out a documentary called And the Oscar Goes To. And basically, it sounds like a film version of the book that you're reading. It explores history of the Academy Award with the added, benefit of seeing little bits and video snippets. We're talking. Earlier, we were talking about what is it that makes good buddy teams, and we were talking about Redford and Newman, and how that they had that camaraderie, that chemistry, that thing that just by watching the movie, that behind the scenes, that these guys really liked each other. So we're talking about female buddy movies, and I wanted to bring up the pairing of
Yes.
All eyes are on you.
It's hard for me to do this with a straight face. Betty Davis
and Joan Crawford.
They
hated each other, though. They fucking hated each other.
That's the point. They hated each other in real life and probably wanted to bury axes in each other, and it carries over into... And they were forced. They're past their prime. It's like, hey, you guys want to make movies? You're going to have to make this movie together. And
well, that didn't last long.
No, but it lasted for a couple movies. And I think that if we're talking about the buddy film where your enemy is...
in the buddy role.
Yeah, it may not be your buddy, but they're...
It's your counterpart.
They're essential. Yeah, without them, you're only half a person. And I think that whatever happened to Baby Jane definitely falls into that category. What was the other big one they did together? There was another... Whatever happened to Baby Jane, and then there was a...
I can't believe they were all... Because I know that their relationship fell apart, and she went... Betty Davis went and did Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte without her.
Right. And it was... And that would have fallen right into that category, the older lady...
The old hag film.
I was looking at Thomas quickly typing it up, and it was like Joan Crawford and Bette Midler.
You know what? I can't believe that we had this brain fart, but it looks like they only worked on one film.
No. They did two. I know they did two. Because they didn't want to... Whatever happened to...
No.
My guess was one as well.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like, yeah, I can't believe that. Yeah, because they really fucking hated each other. Like, they hated each other.
Yeah.
I went and saw Whatever Happened to Baby Jane at this wonderful little repertory theater in Seattle called the Grand Illusion. And well, you guys are up in that area, so you know it, Tom, and you probably do too, Langley. It's in the U District. And I went and saw it with my ex-girlfriend. And I hadn't seen it in a long time. Jesus fucking Christ, that movie's difficult to watch in the best of ways. It is so grimy and dark. I had to take a fucking shower when I got home.
I guess with the Betty Davis, Joan Crawford thing, I was just looking at something where I guess Betty Davis used to refer to Joan Crawford openly as, quote, that phony cunt. So, yeah, I think
that's
it was
a
one
band
and
name.
done. I think it was one and done. I can't believe no one has talked about Thelma and Louise yet.
Well, I mentioned it at the very beginning. But
okay.
I think that's...
Great, let's talk about Thelma and Louise.
I hated Thelma and Louise.
Did you really?
I really did. I mean, I guess I'm kind of on board for a while, but yeah, man, that ending I just kind of just throw my hands up in the air and say, I could have saved this.
Oh, now wait a minute. I know you like Butch Cassidy and the
I was just going to say, it's Butch and Sundance.
And it's kind of the same kind of ending.
I kind of.
Except that it would have been, okay, I'm with you. It would have been the same kind of ending if they would have drove their car into the cops instead of off of the cliff, right? Right?
No, I just,
Right.
I don't know.
Which makes me wonder about, and not to get too analytical about it, but again, the difference between male buddy films and female buddy films, their passive reaction to that situation, now that you say that, Langley, makes me trip a little bit. It's like, why didn't they take it full bore and go right at the cops?
Right.
But then again, didn't they kind of like or have like a non-hate relationship with Harvey Keitel's police officer character who was going after them?
Again, it was one of those born out of respect over time.
Harvey Keitel respected them, and but yeah, I don't know if I'd say.
They should have turned and fought. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that too. But I liked it.
That whole Peckinpah Wild Bunch thing at the end. Sure.
It would have been great. It would have been like the end.
Well, it would have been transgressive because there you have women with guns fighting back.
Right.
That would have been
like the end of the Devil's Rejects.
Right.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, Tom, I can see why you don't like the ending, and now I don't like the ending.
Yeah. I just felt like it's like
I loved the ending before this podcast.
Well, it just struck me as like it's kind of like we did. It's like the beginning of Alien 3. By the time you get to the beginning of Alien 3 and you find out that Newt and Hicks are dead, it's like everything we fought for in Aliens is up in smoke. So now with Thelma and Louise, we've gone with you on this journey, and now you kill yourself?
The entire point becomes moot.
Yeah.
The entire fight becomes moot. Another female buddy film that's incredibly dark and twisted, and probably my favorite Peter Jackson film next to The Frighteners is Heavenly Creatures.
Yes. Fucking A, man. That
Heavenly
movie,
Creatures. Which even got a nod from you, Langley, on the Puppet episode, right?
Right. Yeah. Dude, Heavenly Creatures. Fucking A, man. That movie is awesome.
Right on.
Did you know
I've never seen it.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
I know. I've never
seen it.
Of all the things I haven't seen, I have a list of things that I should have seen and I haven't, but that's one of them.
Check this out. This is cool. So, do you know the basic premise? It's a true story, right? Two young girls get together and kill the mom of one of the girls because they thought that the actions of the mom was going to bring them apart.
Right.
One of the girls grew up to be Ann Perry. Do you know who Ann Perry is?
No.
Ann Perry is a very...
Katy Perry's sister?
No, it's a very well-known and respected crime author.
Writer.
Yeah, writer, yeah.
Oh, is that her?
That's her.
And then the other one is Kate Winslet, of course.
No, Kate Winslet is that. She was playing that character.
Oh, okay. That's the character, or the quote-unquote character in real life.
In real life became Ann
Holy
Perry.
shit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, if you get a chance to check out Heavenly Creatures, holy shit.
I will. Okay.
And again, like you said, that their actions occur because they don't want to be torn apart, which just illustrates even further what I've been saying about the difference between male buddy films and female buddy films.
Right.
Really hard for men to come together in that kind of way.
You, bro.
Yeah,
right.
kill for you, bro.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, your mom's not going to tell us we can't hang out.
Why can't I quit you, man?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it does. And that's another thing I like about Heavenly Creatures, because it doesn't become Brokeback Mountain, and they don't go to, and I'll give Thelma and Louise this as well, they don't do the really easy go-to, well, they were into each other. Because, again, that's another
John
cultural...
Parr's music swells, and they kiss in the moonlight.
Right. And that's another cultural conceit, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, that's really, it's fucking one-dimensional, and it really avoids it in a wonderful way. And yeah, Tom, if you've not seen it, And visually, it's Peter Jackson really getting his visual legs under him without fucking it being 9 hours long and about people walking. So
right.
I will say you'll be surprised.
Yeah,
right.
You will be. And it's kind of sad he hasn't stayed the course and almost in a Guillermo del Toro kind of fashion gone back to that vibe now and then just for himself as a filmmaker.
I would love to see Peter Jackson like redo Bad Taste.
Oh God!
Like now with $100 million.
Dude, Brain Dead. Oh,
Brain,
man.
yeah. Well,
you know I can't stand those movies.
His?
I'm the only horror fanatic who does not like Dead Alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dead Alive is just silly. It's fun. I consider it more of a comedy than I do horror film.
Yeah. Same thing with Bad Taste.
Yeah.
Well, can I add one more here?
Sure.
To kind of bridge, we've been talking about the difference between male buddy films and female buddy films. Then there's the buddy film without sexual tension between a man and a woman. And one of my favorites, and I almost didn't watch it. It was on cable, and I just kind of left it on, and I love this movie now. Is Mrs. Brown with Judi Dench and Billy Connolly.
That was a great movie.
I have not seen that.
And I mean the age difference in the characters, again, it's another thing based on a true story. The age difference helps alleviate the quote unquote easy to go to sexual tension.
Right.
Even though I think there's a twinge of it there anyway.
Yeah.
But
that's that whole Harold and Maude moment.
Right. God, talk about another great fucking co-ed buddy film. Probably the greatest.
But there was the sexual tension there was realized.
I think that directors can't get away from that.
It's hard not. It's almost expected.
Yeah. So like when you make Leon the Professional.
Oh Jesus! Right.
You do that scene where she's dressing up like Madonna, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when you make God Bless America.
Right.
Right. And the girl's like, why aren't you into me? And he's like, because
look at Super.
12?
Yeah, look
exactly.
at Super.
Yeah, well, in Super, it crosses that line.
And in all three of those movies, the girl wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way,
like, wow.
Without saying a word, one of the best oh fuck moments in cinema. That movie.
Oh, yeah.
Super.
Yeah, Super, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, right.
Yeah. One of those things, jaw-dropping. There's a moment in Super that is jaw-dropping.
Hey, man, I'm an unabashed James Gunn fan. I think Super and Slither and even Guardians of the Galaxy are all great. And Lolly Love, which he made with his ex-wife, Jenna Fisher from The Office. They wrote it and she directed it. But Langley, now that you bring up something like The Professional, I have a whole kind of little sub-list here. We have Stakeland with Nick D'Amici, and I forget the kid's name, by Jim Mickle, about the vampire apocalypse, where D'Amici's Bronson-like character teaches the kid to be a vampire slayer. Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Furlong and Schwarzenegger. Paper Moon with Ryan and Tatum O'Neal.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up Paper Moon. I don't know.
Karate Kid. Are those mentor films or are those buddy films?
Yeah. I'd say they're mentor.
Well, I don't know about Paper Moon, though. Paper Moon is kind of a special case because it's her dad.
Yeah. But they don't know through most of the movie.
Yeah, they treat each other more like equals. So it's not like I'm teaching you the ropes, kid, as much as we're along the ride.
I would argue that it's still a buddy film because Paper Moon is my favorite Bogdanovich film anyway. That and What's Up, Doc? Which is another great, sexual tension buddy film. I would argue that it is a buddy film, though, because the characters don't... He knows, but she doesn't, so that it's not acknowledged between the characters that they're father and daughter. And it ends with them staying the course on the original relationship, which is, very Chaplin and the Kid-esque.
Yeah.
I just thought of another one in that same vein, Old Boy.
Oh, God. Oh, dear God, that's just a fucking... That's a mess to try to think about and wrap. Oh, boy. What about that octopus?
But so much sort of like, again, I kept running into these things like where they're crime involved, and then you butt up against, is it a cop buddy movie? And something like, look at In Bruges.
Right.
It's like there's enough crime element there, and there's not so much cop, but there's a relationship there. So I'm kind of feeling like I can sneak that in.
Sure.
But
I think it qualifies, absolutely. Yeah. In Bruges is a genre masher. I mean, it's a romantic film, it's a buddy film, it's a crime film.
It's like dessert topping.
I'm gonna, dude. That's one of my favorite Saturday Night Live of all time. I'm sorry.
Dessert topping.
That's a
Dear God.
Dear God.
I mean, shit. A buddy movie just won Best Picture. Whiplash is a total buddy film.
Yeah, one of those antagonistic sort of
meets again into, is it a mentor film? But I think mentor films are buddy films.
Yeah.
Cinema Paradiso.
Look at The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by William Friedkin. Actually, a lot of people don't realize that.
Same sort of thing. That same sort of,
I was so excited when that. I was like, it's freaking Friedkin. Because
and then when I saw the trailer and I saw all these guys like with knives and stuff, I was like, oh,
dude, and they're making their own knives.
Yeah, and it's just sort of it stumbles across the finish line at best.
If we're gonna throw Hunted into the buddy film milieu, then we have to go to one of its obvious influences, which is the Rambo films.
Yeah,
I mean, Stallone and Crenna are obviously. That element of the film is
never
really
underpinning. Never really in the room at the same time, but yeah.
Except for the end scene,
right?
In
First Blood, yeah.
And that makes me think of Rocky 2, where I'm sorry, Rocky 3, where Apollo Creed winds up becoming
that's good.
Rocky Balboa's buddy.
Right, when Mick dies.
Right, exactly. He becomes his trainer.
Sure.
Basically, it's Rocky Balboa gets his groove back.
And now they're spinning it around, because I guess the new Rocky film is that Rocky is going to train Apollo Creed's son.
What? There's a new Rocky.
There's a new Rocky coming out. Yeah.
With William B. Jordan from Chronicle and Fantastic Four and Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
I learned this idea years ago. No one wanted to do it. No, I'm still waiting for the Rocky Rambo, Rocky versus Rambo.
Sure, the team up. The Marvel double-sized team.
Dude, that'd be great.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger in the role as Nick.
No.
By the way, can we just say Burgess fucking Meredith real quick?
Sure.
Burgess fucking Meredith.
Yeah, he was a badass.
Yeah. People
forget how deep that guy's filmography goes.
You know what? To digress very quickly, Tom, I've been talking to you about my new client/roommate. I live and take care of a 90-year-old man who is obsessed with old Hollywood. It's talk about a buddy film. I'm living one right now in intergenerational buddy film. And he turned me on to a movie the other day that I had never heard of, and I'm a Burgess Meredith freak. And Burgess Meredith stars and directs in it. It's fucking The Man on the Eiffel Tower. Throwing that out there. Right. Get ready. It's going to make a huge appearance in the discussion during our character actor episode.
Cool.
Wow. And I shouldn't probably say this, but it's very hard to find. I think it's out of print, so I'll go ahead. It's in its entirety right now on YouTube. That's how I was able to watch it.
Right on. Nice. Another one of those movies that butt up against the crime drama thing is, and I just posted a review of it on the forum thing, is Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Oh yeah,
awesome. That and its follow up, Come Back Charleston Blue, which I own but I haven't seen yet.
Shit, that's right.
Yeah, I'm really.
Is that a direct sequel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had to stay away from a lot of the blaxploitation stuff because there was a lot of buddy-ass kind of stuff in there.
Sure.
But,
Harlem Nights.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the guy who wrote both of Cotton Comes to Harlem and Come Back Charleston Blue wrote Harlem Nights.
Mm. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
He wrote the book. The guy that wrote the book.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What about something like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot?
You know what? That was in my list as part of my big finish because that is one of my favorite fucking movies in the fucking world. I'm a Clint Eastwood fanatic. Iger Sanction is a buddy movie. Him and the inimitable George Kennedy. Going back to Paul Newman.
Yeah.
I'll call Cool Hand Luke a buddy film because of George Kennedy. But Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, a young Jeff Bridges, a mid-era Clint Eastwood, and his ultimate badass phase, the first Dirty Harry, Iger Sanction, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Jesus Christ, that fucking movie's fucking good, man.
And again, it's kind of like it's cool because
George Kennedy
playing characters that you consider the loner, right? The man with no name, the silhouette on the horizon. So it's cool seeing him sharing that stage.
I think Clint Eastwood's always known that in order for his character, whatever it is, to work, he needs a foil. Even in the Dirty Harry movies, he always had a partner that didn't last long, but he had a partner.
Rennie Santoni, Tyne Daly.
Yeah.
He always had a red shirt.
Always. And then it went on to, he finally couldn't find anyone, so then he went with the chimp. So,
in that regard, I'd almost even call Pale Rider a mentor/buddy flick with him and the young actress.
Sure. Right.
Go ahead.
True Grit, man.
Okay. Oh yeah, True Grit. But really quickly, back to Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Again, it's another great illustration of the two characters changing each other too, which a great buddy film you'll see that in, like we were talking about in the Matthau Lemmon stuff. Mm-hmm. In the beginning of Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, they're very different people, or at least to the viewer. And through their interaction, a lot about those characters is revealed. Clint Eastwood is not nearly as stoic as he appears to be, and Jeff Bridges is not nearly as goofy as he appears to be, and really brings Eastwood's character out of his shell, right down to giving him a goofy shirt to wear, and bringing two chicks back to the pad, to drink and screw. He really unlocks the verklempt-ness in Eastwood's character in that, and Eastwood matures Jeff Bridges' character. And the end.
It makes me think of the Mechanic.
Oh God, that's another one.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
With Bronson and Jan Michael Vincent. Again, back to my buddy flick in real life. My roommate, he had a dog named Bronson. Yes, named after Charles Bronson, and that's when I knew it was all going to be good.
So what about, we had talked briefly about there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about man and animal buddy films.
Yeah.
The one that immediately came to mind was A Boy and His Dog.
Yep.
And in a weird way, I thought about, has anyone seen Hidalgo? It's a Viggo Mortensen movie.
Viggo Mortensen and the horse.
The horse, the horse is like a tangible character in the film.
Is it worth seeing?
Yeah. It's a big desert sweeping, him being cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, again, you go back a lot of times in the human and animal buddy thing. It goes right back to comedy. I mean, Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch, or K9, or
oh god,
things that they did, or didn't Whoopi Goldberg did one with a Tyrannosaurus? You remember that?
Jesus Christ!
What the fuck is that called?
Why do you? My brain's already cluttered enough, Carnell. Jesus, and you know what? The completionist in me is going to have to fucking go find it and watch it.
I'll give you the
thanks
next
for that.
Just give me a second. Everyone, we can just keep talking.
Wait, is this the same movie that had like some teenage girl?
No, it had this really weird. Like it was around the time of, if you remember, Dinosaurs.
Right.
The TV series.
Because I want to say there was a There was a movie with who was married to Sheen.
Martin Sheen?
Charlie Sheen. She was married to Charlie Sheen for a while. What was her name?
I know he went back. He went out with Ginger Lynn.
No.
The crazy chick who ended, the actress who ended up going, who played the beautiful scientist in the Bond film. To much laughter.
Maybe.
And left him for their neighbor, the guitar player John Bon Jovi.
Anyway, I think she played in some movie where she's running around with a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a buddy.
Can we get a whole episode of human and Tyrannosaurus Rex buddy movies done?
I bet we could.
Can we make that happen?
I think we could, some of Don Glutt's movies. I think would qualify.
He dropped a Donald F. Glutt reference.
Yeah, man, Donald F. Glutt is
okay, there it is, 1995, Theodore Rex.
You know what? I almost said that, Tom.
In an alternate futuristic society, a tough female police detective is paired with a talking dinosaur to find the killer of dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals, leading them to a mad scientist bent on creating a new Armageddon.
Run, don't walk.
Directed by the guy who did last Starfighter.
My Science Project.
No.
Oh.
Nah, he just did TV. He produced those. He mostly did TV like Freddy's Nightmares and.
We should write that, Langley. The Last Science Project with Val Kilmer.
My Starfighter.
Yeah, it's awful. But that movie is awful. I mean, in an age when Whoopi Goldberg was making nothing but awful movies, Theodore Rex is really.
Was there another age?
No, yeah. Well, she did
man.
She was okay at Sister Act.
Dude, she made.
Yeah, written by Donna Dixon not Donna Dixon, the woman who was on Beverly Hillbillies as Ellie Mae.
Yeah. Poor Donna Dixon. By the way, being so hot and marrying like one of the biggest stars of the decade, and now she's married to Dan Aykroyd.
Well, who did she marry before Dan Aykroyd?
Dan Aykroyd. No, I'm just saying he sort of has aged into this
weird UFO nut.
Yeah.
Who makes vodka.
Yeah, she's just like, as long as it checks cash, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Dr. Detroit.
We bring you everything from the Defiant Ones to Theodore Rex.
I know.
And everything in between.
I did watch Bosom Buddies a lot with one hand when I was a kid, though.
Okay, so...
Oh, well, shit. Speaking about buddy stuff.
This whole section was started with a mention of A Boy and His Dog.
Yeah.
Holy shit. A Boy and His Dog.
Great movie.
Great movie. Even better, probably my favorite Harlan Ellison story.
Vic and Blood. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, what a great idea. And what a great idea how to end it. Like
how to do it on the cheap, first of all, and make it effective.
Yeah.
And just every trope in that is great. The idea of the dog being able to communicate, and it's great.
And also to throw in, a foreshadowing to our character actor episode, co-starring as well and written by for the screen L.Q. Jones, the tough guy character actor, the bad guy in White Line Fever. He's always the mean cowboy.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought L.Q. Jones was such a great screenwriter? Then you throw Jason Robards in there, and pure win. I remember seeing A Boy and His Dog in Chico when I was a boy, and talk about going over my fucking head. I mean, because I was a huge fan of stuff like Soylent Green already at 8 years old, and I went and saw A Boy and His Dog, and I was just confused, man. But about 4 years later, when I got, when I hit 12 or 13, and revisited it during the Betamax into VHS age. Wow, yeah, definitely one of Harlan Ellison's greatest moments.
I think this would be a good time for us because we could and we will spend the entire evening listing off titles and titles and titles and titles. Why do we like buddy films? What is it that why do we watch buddy films? I
think it's a way to a way, like as Sean was saying, the way that guys can like go, here's two guys expressing themselves in a way that is okay. You know what I mean? That it's like a validation. And so I think we like that because it gives us a model by which we can use in our daily life, right?
That, and also I think a lot of people in this world, you know, and it's always been this way, are lonely. And when
Everyone
you watch
wants a buddy,
yeah, when you watch a good buddy movie, you know, whether it's human and animal, man to man, woman to woman, whatever, you walk away. That's why the comedy and cop ones work so well, especially for males, is because you walk away with this vicarious sense of having had that relationship.
One just popped into my head that I was marked that I wanted to ask you guys about, and that is Driving Miss Daisy.
Definitely a buddy film.
Absolutely.
Again, that slots into the to the Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, Mrs. Brown, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know what.
An example of a male-female buddy film where the sexual tension is taken away.
Right.
Yeah.
By both age and by sort of
standards
in class, quote unquote, or whatever reason.
Driving Miss Daisy's like the non-sexy version of The Hireling with Robert Shaw and Sylvia Miles.
Yeah. But there's so many, you know. You start bleeding all over the place. I don't know. I don't know why it appeals to us so much, other than the fact that it's one of those things about how every experience is best if you're there with someone. You know what I mean? And it's easy for the audience to put themselves into Butch Cassidy's place.
Right.
You know, it gives them a sort of a totem for one of the.
And I think like all films, we kind of live vicariously through them.
Absolutely.
So, if we don't have that buddy, if we don't have that person that we know we can count on, no matter what, you know, if the cops have us pinned down.
Right.
I know that this guy.
He'll hold my hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And drive over the edge.
And if we don't have that, then we've got the buddy film to fill that gap for us.
Right.
It's almost a teaching tool. I mean, remember when you were a kid and you'd see, like, oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, you know, no matter what anybody wants to say, art creates emulation.
Sure.
And you know, like when you're a kid and you see a movie with a hero in it, you kind of take on those traits a little bit. I mean, Tom, you and I have talked about it. You grew up reading Conan.
Sure.
We're both huge fans of that. We're both sons of single mothers. And those kinds of archetypes give, I don't want to say a lonely person, but sometimes a singular person, a moralistic lesson, a really tangible one. You know,
I think all film, all art does that. Fiction does that. It shows us modes of behavior and possible outcomes.
Right.
And so we know that, you know, if you go into a house and there are 3 bowls on the table and one of them's too hot, you should probably leave. So the idea is that we learn from this stuff, and film in spades does.
3 bowls of what?
Porridge.
That's why when I see films
Alaskan
like
Thunderfuck.
Yeah, that's what, like when I see films like Baps, I worry. I think, oh no, this isn't good. This isn't a good message to be putting out there. Yeah.
Real briefly, we had mentioned prior to starting this, you know, we were trying to lay down the ground rules, right? What is a buddy film? What you know, when does a movie stop becoming a buddy film? So we talked about, Sean, you were talking about friend films, which would be like Stand By Me, Goonies,
right.
where we
Animal
have
House.
a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Which has a lot of the same things. It's just it's more than 2 characters. But we said that 3 would qualify. Is that true? 3 characters?
You're asking me to remember over an hour ago.
In my opinion, yes.
So toward that end, I'm going to throw out the Explorers.
Boy, that's on the line, dude. That is.
I don't know, man.
It's because of how it's done in the film itself too. I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, because you could argue that Stand By Me really is a buddy film because it really mostly hinges on Will Wheaton and River Phoenix.
Absolutely. It's about the friendship between Gordy and Chris Chambers.
Yeah, and then the friends kind of revolve around that. But
right. But it's really about those two guys, right?
Yeah. As we're explorers, it's really kind of about what's the guy who's in The Purge now? You know, the lead actor, the kid who's grown up. You know, who's Uma Thurman before, huh?
Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
Don't smoke pot, kids.
Well, trust me, I didn't. That's the problem. I'm drinking shitty beer, and I'm on number 9 right now. So, I'm pounding it down over here.
Okay, no, that's why I wanted to throw it out, to find out. 3, does it really count, or no?
I'll allow it.
I say no.
You're so cool.
Okay, I'm looking at the clock, and it's showing that we got like 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can't believe we haven't mentioned American Werewolf in London. It didn't even get on my list.
Nice. I didn't even make that. I didn't even consider that.
Nice.
Yes.
I know.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think maybe John Landis makes buddy movies in general when you think about it, because he's got that in his filmography.
Stripes.
Is that Landis?
Oh, Landis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Is it really?
I think so.
Keep talking.
Well,
I don't think it is, but Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd and the fucking Blues Brothers.
Ivan Reitman.
Oh, yeah.
We lose.
Yeah, John Landis, Ivan Reitman, same thing.
Same guy. They make the same fucking movie.
So is Ghostbusters a buddy movie then? Or is it a friend film?
Well, I'm going to say no, man. It's 3 dudes.
Yeah. If we're holding to 3.
You know what? It's like anything. You can shoehorn anything into. Like, I got
a whole list here that I could argue my way in and out of.
Clerks, right?
Sure.
We got
you
2
just pissed Tom off.
What's that?
You just pissed Tom off. Here we go.
Fuck Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but
I get it.
Dante and Randall throughout the View Askew universe are a constant, right?
Jay and Silent Bob
are a constant.
Randall and Dante sort of fade in and out.
Well, they are not in.
They're not in Mallrats. I don't think they're in Chasing Amy. I don't think they're in.
Right. So they're in the Clerks movies. That's what they're in, basically. But Clerks by itself is a double buddy movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that.
Buddy movies can also lead... I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, because I'm looking at another area of my list, and buddy movies can also lead to extreme existentialism. I mean, as where some buddy movies, you know, that you're either holding up a mirror to each other or you're kind of pulling each other along into growing as a person. Then there's the existential thing where you're kind of co-dwelling with your buddy, and it... How do I want to put it? Well, the movie I'm getting to, maybe you guys can help me, is Two Lane Blacktop.
Yeah.
That's a buddy film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a straight-up buddy film.
Yeah. But it's a strange one because it's so quiet, and it's fucking Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys and James Taylor, who are...
They don't all have to be explosive. I mean, look at My Dinner with Andre. That's kind of a buddy film.
Sure.
But
that's absolutely a buddy film, actually.
It's super quiet. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be all...
Right.
Biff Bam Boom.
And it's also incredibly existential. I think maybe when they get quiet, you get to the existentialism because, I mean, you're watching something. I mean, you need some kind of exposition. So if you're not going to be blowing shit up with your homeboy, you better be talking about shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Deep shit.
I jokingly said that as we were leading up to this episode that we weren't going to mention Tango and Cash.
Oh. But I think that's a cop movie.
Yeah, that is.
That's a cop.
It is. All right.
You know, it's stuff like The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox and James Woods.
Right.
It's an old John Badham movie.
And it's been done several times.
It's been done a bunch of times. Yeah. So
it was just done as the other guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would like to take.
Shout out to John Albert, and I knew we were going to shoehorn in the other guys into this episode, and I know he's listening. So good.
I do want to mention, probably, because we don't have much time left, and I do want to mention my favorite buddy film of all time, any era, doesn't. For me, this is the pinnacle of buddy films, and that is Fight Club.
Sure.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
God, me either. That one went right by my list.
Wow.
Fight Club, I think, it illustrates all these things we've been talking about. Two characters that really need each other, that are the yin and yang to each other, and without the other, there's a lack of a whole.
Right.
And it does embody, it embodies the toughness of the action buddy film. It embodies the existential thing that I just brought up, and it also embodies the personal growth thing.
I mean, just look at the scene. There's a scene in the middle of Fight Club where the narrator talks about how they were like an old married couple.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
And then talk about a relationship that should be able to express its love but can't and doesn't. And even the way the narrator gets spurned when he starts with the whole Jared Leto thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. By the way, real briefly, just to go off track for a second, have you seen the first couple pages of the Fight Club 2 comic? That Chuck
I've seen them. I read them.
What?
Yeah, there's a Fight Club comic that David Mack's doing the cover for, that Polaniak's doing. He's writing. And there's another artist that's doing the interiors. But the David Mack covers are nice.
Pretty cool.
What company is it on?
Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Usually I don't like the whole movie tie-in comic thing much, but fuck yeah.
Well,
I mean, since Polaniak's going to be writing it, I mean, it's it's the Fight Club sequel we didn't get, so
yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that's what was so weird when I heard it announced. I thought, oh, he's writing a new book. No, it's a comic.
It's a comic.
Crazy.
You know, a couple of things I can't believe we haven't. I mean, you didn't bring up the Blues Brothers, which is completely a buddy film.
Sure.
I did very, very briefly, but I figured that's gone to the wall. But if you have something to say about it, definitely.
No, I don't really. I'm just sort of going over my list. We're talking about female ones. I have 9 to 5, which is sort of butts up against our three
though.
Can you give a
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I'd like to, good one. I'd like to thank all of us and commend all of us for not bringing up First Wives Club.
Yeah, really.
Fucking hate that fucking movie.
Luckily, it's a group of 3, so we can't bring it up. Fuck that film.
You know, we've kind of mentioned it in passing as if everybody takes it for granted. Can we talk for a minute about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Sure.
Oh,
great film. I was just watching a couple of scenes from it this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Why? Why is it the quintessential bloody film?
Well, they had chemistry, right?
Yeah. The screenplay, for one, it's right on the cusp of great American maverick 70s cinema. It's one of the films that heralded that into existence.
Right.
Did William Goldman write the screenplay?
I want to say yes, but I don't want to commit to it without checking. But I want to say that is a William Goldman.
If he did, he also wrote Magic, which I will call a buddy book and film.
Sure. Yeah, we
with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, that is William Goldman.
Oh yeah, and then did George Roy Hill direct it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The importance of Butch and Sundance for me is, because really my bag, really at the end of the day, is American 70s cinema. The Mavericks, Lumet's era during then, Hal Ashby, Robert Altman, all those guys. That is my fucking bag, man. And I think that Butch and Sundance was one of probably the 5 to 10 films that created the environment for that whole thing to kind of go and happen. And then the scene with Newman riding the bike for Catherine Ross.
Dude, with Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Jesus Christ. And you know what? Burt Bacharach.
How out of the box that was.
Right.
For that film.
And
go ahead.
And again, the whole sensitivity issue among men in Western culture thing is broached beautifully in that. Paul Newman was really, really good at that, man. He could be the cool guy. He truly was the dude that women wanted to go out with and women wanted to go out with and guys wanted to be. But in such a nice, well-rounded way. So his sensitivity really comes through in his roles, even to stuff like Cool Hand Luke. I mean, because his marriage to Joanne Woodward was very, very fucking solid. You know, he stayed more beautiful than she did for like the last 30, 40 years of their marriage. I mean, it's kind of true. You know, she aged well before he did.
It's all that organic.
I'll take the hate off you and say that men age better, most of them. So.
Well, no, trust me, I love Joanne.
Men don't have a wall. I'll just say that.
No, not at all. But
so send your hate mail to the.
You don't have to take the hate off. Don't take the hate off me. I think it's fucking awesome. You know, their relationship was so fucking solid. But that type of person he is in his personal life really comes through in his roles, and there's not a better example of it than in Butch and Sundance.
Right.
You know, you can be a man's man and still have a huge heart and still have.
But that same stuff came through in Look at the Sting. I mean, was so. The Sting was charmed an entire nation.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've never seen the Sting.
Oh, dude, it's got Robert Shaw in it.
Dude, you gotta watch it. It's great. It's great.
You'll never look at someone touch the side of their nose again.
Especially for somebody who gets off on 70s.
Yeah.
Cinema. I mean,
well, there's a reason. It's on my in case of emergency break glass stack. That's where Lawrence of Arabia was for years. Because when I get really disillusioned with how
You're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
Don't waste that, man.
But when I get disillusioned with how shitty modern filmmaking is, I know that I can pull that one out, put it on, and it's going to be a good meal.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that's why I like Butch and Sundance, though. It's the sensitivity that the characters are imbued with, as well as the gunslinging stuff.
Yeah.
Right. You know, from that same era was a great movie that is not a buddy film at all, because it's a singular person. I guess, I mean, like anything, you could argue if you wanted to enough. Jeremiah Johnson.
Oh well, what Redford and Chief Dan George?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's like Redford and so many other and he runs into all these characters that he runs into. But where that's leading me to is the movie with Charlton Heston and Brian Keith, The Mountain Men.
Oh, Mountain Men.
Yeah, which is a total buddy movie. Like you can't escape the relationship between these two men.
I've not seen it.
It's good.
Oh, dude, it's great. It's great.
It's Charlton Heston, so
right.
I was going to bring him up too because he's actually kind of devoid for the most part of having done buddy films.
And he's always the loner. He's the
wolf guy.
Yeah, Omega Man and Planet of the Apes. He was on his own.
Yeah,
right.
Moses
is on his own.
On his own, man.
By
the way, I just recently watched the water partying scene.
Yeah.
And damn! I just remember as a kid being so impressed by it.
Yeah.
And now you look at it now, and it's just it's like asylum level shit.
It is. But you have to take. When I look at it, I'm amazed by it because it was 1957.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've not mentioned another one of the probably top 3 buddy films in American cinema. That's also very Butch and Sundance, and that's Easy Rider.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Rule of 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a 3-man
with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's in most of the film.
Is he in most of the film?
Well, I don't know.
Once they pick him up, yeah.
Once they pick him up,
yeah.
Well, so is Lucas.
And he's there until they put him down.
I mean, yeah, and so is Lucas Skew, though, the weird hippie leader that they pick up.
Yeah,
right. Dan Harrity's in that movie, man.
Yeah.
But I need to use Easy Rider to segue into one of my favorite buddy films, Because
Ben-Hur.
Peter Fonda to Warren Oates, and that's Race with the Motherfucking Devil.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a family.
Oh shit!
I also think it fits more firmly under like the Satanic Panic.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but here we're talking about the characters, and it's also goes into the mentor thing because Warren Oates owns the motorcycle business. Peter Fonda is his test rider, and they go on vacation together because they're like, huh?
I get it.
I don't know. Filed under the.
I love that movie, but Loretta Switch, shut the up.
Wait a minute. Under the we can shoehorn anything into this if we wiggle it enough.
Sure.
I'm going back to Ten Commandments, man. Fucking Yul Brynner and Charlton Heston.
Oh Jesus! I just said, oh Jesus.
Absolutely.
But there was one of those things where they were friends,
right?
And then they split apart, and then they were
brothers,
still they were still bonded by the whole thing.
By the way, I watched Exodus recently
With the
Ridley
with
Scott.
Batman Jesus.
Yeah.
No, Batman Moses.
Yeah.
Bat Moses.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver's in there too.
Yeah, really.
Is she really?
Is the
just picking up paychecks.
Dude, it's now. But I wanted to bring up the ocean parting thing. You would like that better.
Good
effects wise. You would believe that more.
Yeah, I want to get into. I so want to do a whole religious film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna have to do some heavy viewing, but
no,
you don't, man. Just watch.
Just go like. Yeah, fuck those guys.
What's the Monty Python? The Life of Brian. The Life of Brian and your
That covers all of it.
That covers everything.
That pretty much covers
that I've seen.
But there's some great... Anyway, there's some great movies.
So we could go on and on. I'm going to go out by mentioning the films of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Everyone mentioned one more.
Yeah, this is my last thing.
One more, okay.
The films of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, I don't want to say just one, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, the Cornetto trilogy, the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy. And I'll throw in there Paul, just because it's the same kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Although Paul technically falls under the three-man rule. But what those movies are essentially about, yes, one's about zombies, one's about action cop films from the 80s, and one's about the end of the world. But what they're really about is the friendship shared between these two main characters, and who kind of, which is fun because they kind of switch roles a little bit depending on what movie you're watching. One of them's the goofy screw up, one of them's the straight guy, and they kind of go back and forth. That's kind of cool. But I want to say, in modern times, I can't think of anybody more who epitomizes the buddy film than those two guys. Yeah. And who confront this whole kind of underlying, not unspoken homoerotic. They play it up for laughs.
The problems of machismo.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Sean?
Okay, I won't mention Hell in the Pacific with Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune.
That's a good one.
It's a great one. That also kind of shoehorns in a strange way into the Crusoe thing.
Yeah.
Let me think. Runaway Train with John Voight and Eric Roberts. Two guys in prison, got to escape. There's the ever-present female that usually comes in to play in the buddy thing. There's got to be the almost semi-love interest, the possible wedge, between the two friends. That's also a totally another trope. God, can you look up who directed that? I think is it Barbette Schroeder? It was some like artsy fartsy director.
Right, what are we talking about?
Runaway Train. And again, that's another great example of
it's Andrei Konchalovsky.
God, then there's some European filmmaker involved with that who is really renowned. Anyway. But one of the things I love about it and why I think it's really important, again, it's an exemplary film as far as two really macho guys. I mean, these are hardcore prison convicts. Mm-hmm. Eric Roberts is kind of like the nice guy. He find some shoes for the guard's kid who's taking up boxing and all that stuff. He's the guy who can find anything. And John Voight is the scarred old lion, you know. And they make their breakout together, and the growth in the characters and the understanding and love that develops between them is the arc of it is fucking huge. And then it's got some great action scenes. It's another one of those things that walks the line like a great buddy film should between existentialism, because again you're holding up a mirror, each character is a mirror to the other one, and action. Yeah, Runaway Train will be my last one.
I'm going to go, atypically, I'm going to mention comedy and go with Tremors.
Fucking A, man.
Good one.
Because it's great, and the relationship is wonderful. And then I'm going to sort of, rather than, because we all know what Tremors is, and there's no reason for me to tell you what it's about.
I finally watched it again after 20 years yesterday.
It's great.
It's great.
And I'm also going to throw in it kind of ties into the stoner comedy, but we didn't mention Harold and Kumar, so I figure they deserve a mention.
Not seen any of those films, but I hear
they're the modern age Cheech and Chong. And by the time you get to that 3D Christmas movie, it's a nightmare.
Okay, so watch the first two?
Watch the first two, yeah. Although, to be fair, the 3D stuff is pretty cool. So, anyway, so that's I'll just go out with that.
I'm gonna throw one more title out.
So my honorable mention, Missouri Break.
Honorable mention, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah.
The relationship between Morgan Freeman
and on Facebook, I'm sure you guys can, or on the blog, you can post all the things that we forgot.
Like every other episode, there's going to be a million things that we forgot, left out.
Honorable mention 1/A, the In-Laws. Now there's a buddy team that almost happened that didn't quite.
Peter Falk and Alan Arkin.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen, but man, can you imagine if they'd done
No, stop. Okay, we have to stop because I so want to jump on to like Freebie and the Bean and all that other stuff.
And Super Cops, otherwise known as Batman and Robin, but that's our cop. That's our cop.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Okay.
All right. So for the bonus material podcast, this has been Buddy Films with a group of buddies breaking the 3-man rule amongst ourselves here. I'm Langley West.
I'm Thom Carnell.
And I'm Sean Smithson, back from the ether. And shout out to Heather Buckley.
Yeah,
again.
We miss you, Heather.
We so miss you, girl. And again, to mention where she is tonight, in Austin, Texas, at the South by Southwest Film Festival. Woohoo! At the premiere of a film she was one of the crew on, and she was effects shop supervisor. We Are Still Here, a supernatural ghost story directed by Ted Gay Hogan, another friend of the Bonus Material podcast. And hopefully we have her back next weekend. But I think there's always going to be 3 of us at least.
Yep, always. Okay, see you
Love
guys.
you, Heather.
Have a good night. Stay scary.